Made to alter the New Year's Eve agreement on a political transition in the Democratic Republic of Congo could lead to an explosive outcome. That was the view of the Episcopal Conference of the DRC, a key mediator in the country, as it urged the UN Security Council to put pressure on the DRC government to ensure that elections are held before the end of the year. The council held a briefing to consider the deteriorating humanitarian situation in the country that has already 4.5 million people internally displaced, while over 13 million will require humanitarian assistance before the end of this year.
Including her 18-month-old baby, Shabani. You all have this picture in front of you.
The humanitarian chief held up this picture of 35-year-old Mwasi Kalunga and her 7 children, whom he met on a recent visit to an IDP camp in the DRC's Tanganyika province. They fled violence in their village 50 kilometers away, violence that would claim the lives of her husband and 2 children.
Her children can no longer go to school. Her entire family, traumatized, sobbing and destitute, are too terrified to contemplate returning home. Mwasi and her children are among the 4.5 million people displaced right now in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Humanitarian needs caused by internal conflict have doubled over the last year.
Uncertainty around the socio-political situation and elections due before the end of the year continues to undermine the state's authority throughout the country, where militant activities and inter-ethnic conflicts are on the rise.
L'Episcopal Congolais convaincu.
The Congolese bishops are convinced that only credible, peaceful and transparent elections can give the Congolese people a legitimate government that is capable of tackling the multifaceted crisis that plagues the country. Also, the UN should demand the full implementation of the provisions of the New Year's Eve agreement, which is a precondition for smooth elections, and to monitor compliance with the electoral timetable. Those should be the priorities. Any accommodation on this issue would be a time bomb, because elections that would bring us back to square one would be real waste, and the international community must prevent this.
Insecurity in a country that continues to heap catastrophe on the lives of women in particular.
La participation politique de la femme en RD Congo.
The political participation of women in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is still weak for several reasons, including the new electoral law, which does not favor the emergence of women and girls. There are not many political parties created by women, and in decision-making bodies there are few appointments of women, especially on the territorial level. For North Kivu, on over 6 territories and 3 cities, there are no women office holders. Despite all of the current and previous efforts, the voice of women has been reduced to silence.
La voix de femme est réduite au silence.
With underfunding viewed as the single largest impediment to the humanitarian response in the country. And while the world holds its collective breath in the hopes of the first ever peaceful transfer of political power in that country, the immediate concern is for the plight of millions of Congolese who continue to suffer under the burden of political uncertainty and conflict. The UN will host a high-level humanitarian appeal for the country on April 13th in Geneva in the hopes of raising the $1.7 billion it requires to meet needs on the ground for 2018 alone. Sherman Bryceby's SABC News.